This past weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, we saw two phenomenal races take place. On Saturday, the Xfinity Series was in action, Saturday night that was, and we saw John Hunter Nemechek for Joe Gibbs Racing getting the job done there in a very controversial matter. Because, it's not because of him, it's because of the colleague teammates and I guess the other alliances with RCR as a whole. We saw Justin Haley leading the race towards the end and wanting his teammates to Chandler Smith and Daniel Hemrick to stay in line. But as soon as the roles were reversed, he did not help it at all. Hemrick was very upset, and I can see why. And nobody really wanted to work with Austin Hill, and that kind of surprised me. He's been dominating here in the past, so if you're wanting to win a race, wouldn't you want to be working with the guy that's had the most success here at this track? I don't know. These things are just not clicking from the Chevrolet camp and the Xfinity Series, so that's going to be something to keep an eye on moving forward. NASCAR Cup Series, we saw William Byron getting the job done there, Michael McDowell and Daniel Suarez having phenomenal runs. And the British Grand Prix, we saw Max Verstappen getting the win and Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri and McLaren had a phenomenal weekend, P2 and P4. And this week is New Hampshire, F1 is off. And today I am here to give y'all my full-on predictions for the Crayon 301 at the New Hampshire Raceway. Enough said here, and on to the intro we go.
I'm Chase Briscoe, driver number 14 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing, and you're watching William Blackwell on YouTube.
Is it me, or am I just crazy? But when NBC took over the broadcasting rights for the remainder of the 2023 season for the NASCAR Cup Series and the Xfinity Series, but NASCAR Cup in particular, the hype and ratings have tremendously grown week by week. We started off with Nashville, Ross Chastain winning. When we go to Chicago, a very anticipated, highly anticipated race that was. Xfinity only got 25 laps in, short of halfway, but they still called it. Custer won there. In the Cup race that night, we saw Shane Van Gisbergen from Trackhouse Racing and Project 91. And that boosted up the ratings because, one, Chicago street race, you're obviously going to bring a lot of old school viewers, which is a good thing. And you're also bringing in Shane Van Gisbergen fans from New Zealand and down under, if you will. And Jenson Button was racing in that race. I mean, we go to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and it's a plate race on a Sunday night. A lot of things can happen, and playoff implications are going to be big. And we saw a rain-shortened race, and we saw weather being a big factor, and teams were pushing, and William Byron won that race. We're going to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a short track, and I believe, as an outsider, you may think, you know what, this weekend, I believe the hype is going to come to an end. The short track package has not been good at all this year, and it's going to end a streak of great races. But though NASCAR has been trying out many different setups, and this weekend in New Hampshire is going to be one of them. And another thing to keep an eye on is the weather. New Hampshire is one of the few tracks the NASCAR Cup Series will have rain tires at. And if it were to rain, not heavy, but just a little, they can race in the rain, and it's going to boost up the ratings, in my opinion, but also the competitiveness. I think it's going to open up the door for more and more cars. Rain is the equalizer, I believe it is. In Formula One, it definitely is, but NASCAR will have to see on that. But just assuming it's going to be a straightforward race weekend, I believe a Joe Gibbs car is going to be in victory lane, but which one? I say Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin right now this year, it's just hit or miss every single weekend, and I've become a big fan of his lately because of his Actions Detrimental podcast with him and Jared Allen. I not only have learned more about the sport, but I've also learned more what he thinks about things in the sport that are going on. And I agree with him a lot. I'm not trying to be biased. I think Denny Hamlin's going to win it. I like him this weekend. Second place is going to be Christopher Bell. He's always good here in Loudon. He's always a force to reckon with, so give me Christopher Bell in second place. Third place is going to be Brad Keselowski in the 6 car. Now to go on a rant. Time. Brad Keselowski in Atlanta was quick. So was his teammate Chris Buescher. You would think with rain coming, RFK would have split a strategy. Maybe have one stay out and one pit. just to have a chance to win the race. Come on now. I just didn't get some of the strategies being called this weekend at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It just did not make sense at all. Communication is lacking these days. But Brad Keselowski is going to rebound with a solid third place finish. But he did have a good result in Atlanta, but he should have really won it. He was the best car that day. Him, the 17 and 2, and I guess you can say obviously the 24. But those were some quick cars, and I believe they should have been a lot higher up. Fourth place is going to be William Byron. William Byron won Atlanta. I think it's third race of the year he's won. I'm starting to lose count, and I'm sure so y'all are. And I believe William Byron is a true championship contender. So you can already put him in as a Final Four driver because he has all these wins, which gives you 5 playoff points, and he's starting to add them up more and more by the week. And William Byron is pretty much guaranteed until at least a round of 8, and we'll see how things go there. Fifth place is going to be the 4-car of Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick is looking to turn around this bad streak of races. He's not looking good right now, and he's obviously good in points, but he's never too safe. We saw last year where we saw 15 different winners in a regular season, and this year can very well be the same way. Even though we still have a lot of races left and very few spots, I believe we're going to see a few same winners. But you go to Daytona, Watkins Glen, Pocono may throw in a surprise, I believe. Then the Indianapolis Road Course, and that's 4 races right there. And it's going to in Daytona, obviously, but I just don't know how things are going to go. So if you're wanting to make the playoffs, you might as well go and win a race because points are probably not going to mean much at all. People say Chase Elliott, he's going to point his way in. I don't think that's going to happen. If we see at least 2 different winners, Chase Elliott can kiss his hopes of pointing his way in goodbye. I just don't like his chances right now. Had a hit or miss weekend this past month, and I just don't know. Atlanta was terrible, and we'll see how things go for him. And Loudon, I'm not expecting much from him. It's not one of his phenomenal tracks, if you will, but we'll see. But Kevin Harvick in 5th place, and my dark horse is going to be Michael McDowell. And I'm coming on a limb here because Michael McDowell had a phenomenal run in Atlanta, and he had a phenomenal one in Chicago. And I'm believing right now he's auditioning for a top ride in 2024. Wink, wink, the 10-car for Stewart-Haas Racing. And if he keeps up this momentum, he's going to have to be like the finalist, like between him and Zane Smith, and he can eliminate the others. McDowell is on a different level right now, and he's ready to win races on a weekly basis. And I don't know who Zane Smith is right now. So I believe that's why Michael McDowell has the upper hand in that little debate there. But rain's going to be a factor this weekend. And out of everybody on the grid, I believe Allmendinger and McDowell, and maybe a few others, are going to be the ones to keep an eye on because they're good in rain. They've raced in this in the past. So never count them out. And there you go. That's my top 5 for Loudon, New Hampshire, Crayon 301, if you will. Denny Hamlin winning, Christopher Bell 2nd, 3rd place Brad Keselowski, 4th place William Byron, 5th place Kevin Harvick, and dark horse Michael McDowell. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.